transitioned from a speech teacher,
Just running the entire company.
yeah, CFO, and then going to New York, running a Fortune 500 company.
Are y'all back in the sanctuary now?
We get out on next Sunday. We'll be out of here 5 months.
Okay.
So the entire facility.
Try to bring some of the kids. I think it's Sunday, right, where Derek is speaking?
Yeah,
Try to bring
not,
some of the
not,
impact kids.
yeah, not this Sunday.
Following.
Remember this way, fourth Sunday,
Okay, fourth.
the last one, yeah, because I think we got 2 more Sundays.
Gotcha.
Derek's a member here.
Another one of my mentors, another mentor,
Yeah.
great brother of the community.
I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear thereof and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. Hello, I'm Pastor Jimmy Stevens of the New Covenant Faith Baptist Church here in the beautiful city of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I am excited for part 2 of our Black History conversations. And I am honored to have today Mr. Cary Chavis,
It's an honor to be here.
educator, radio personality, mentor, as well as activist and business person.
A long list of titles.
Well, you deserve it, and we thank you for coming and conversating with us.
It's an honor to be here with you. I want to say first of all, thank you for doing this. It's very important, I think, for us to have outlets like this, particularly during COVID, for people to express themselves. But thank you so much for what you do in the community. A lot of times our leaders leave us, our elders leave us, and we talk so great about them, but we get to give them their flowers when they're here. So thank you so much for what you do in the community. We appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you again. T.D. Jakes has a new book out entitled Don't Drop Your Mic. And in this book, he says, everyone has been given a microphone and a platform.
Yes, sir.
And so we should never drop the mic, use our microphone, which is our voice,
Right.
because our words can change the world.
Right.
And so that's why we wanted you to come. We are thankful to God for your voice, your commitment, your dedication in this community. And so I notice you still have your mic, and
Right
you're
to
doing great things with your voice. The first thing I want to talk about is your journey.
Okay.
I noticed that your journey has led you to one of the great schools, in my opinion,
Yeah.
Wally College in Marshall, Texas. Tell us something about that journey.
So my cousin, Dr. Tamika Robinson, who is one of our great minds of speech and debate, and our sister, she works at Hofstra University in New York. Her and her mom took me to see the movie The Great Debaters on Christmas Day 2007. This particular movie was also, it was impactful to me. It was this little school in Marshall, Texas that defeated the national champions at a time where African Americans and white people didn't have those conversations. We were divided, and they came together to have a conversation that changed the world. So I ended up at the school, became debate captain of the university, went to Africa, competed nationally, particularly with the team, and did a lot of great things. So I wanted to come home after that journey to not just let that die, but also take it on and bring it to high school students at my own high school in Washington, Marion. So
I'm glad the Lord led you back, and I'm glad that you yielded to that call. So your journey now leads you from Wally College, debating all over the country, Africa, teaching. Tell me about your journey as an educator now.
that was different because my mom and my aunt, Marjorie Chavis and Brenda Robinson, who to me are heroes in education. They taught in John J. Johnson as well as John F. Kennedy, and amazing teachers. So to walk in a classroom and have those people as mentors was difficult for me at first, but I had to find my own lane. And it wasn't hard, it was very easy. It was learning the kids, learning what they needed, and trying to give them that every day. Teaching was easy. The hard part was getting them to buy into what we were teaching. But it wasn't that hard, it wasn't that difficult, so.
I noticed that not only have you been an educator, but a mentor. Tell me about how the Lord has used you, your voice, your microphone as a mentor.
One of my favorite mentees, and I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that favorite word, but Leonard Lambert was one of my first mentees, and he was killed due to senseless violence. And it changed the way that I approach young people. It changed the way that I talk to them, the way that I fed what they needed. So I tried to make sure that every young person, specifically young black males, because I am a young black male, it was important for me to make sure that I gave them what they needed, that I was a part of what they needed, that I was make sure that I was being a positive source in a world that can be negative sometimes. So that was important for me.
I know this, you've worked with the Impact Agency. McNeese State University, you trained some young brothers that actually debated some professional lawyers and attorneys here in Lake Charles. I was an audience. I have a little training in debate and speech.
I don't think a little, I think a lot of training. It's
Well,
okay to say that.
I tell you what, these young people defeated these lawyers.
Right.
It was not given to them. It was nothing biased. they defeated. Tell me about this preparation and
So the Impact Agency, for ones who don't know, is a mentoring program, the brains of Braylon Harris. And we know Braylon has some crazy ideas. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, he came with the idea that we wanted the boys to debate attorneys. And he was like, Cary, can we make it happen? I thought for a second, I was like, yes, we can do it. So it was really getting their mindset right. I think that the beauty of making sure that people know their voice is that once someone knows their voice, they can do anything. So we had these little middle school kids and high school kids who were debating lawyers who have been doing this for years and years and years, and to see them with the confidence stand on that stage and to speak with such conviction was amazing for me. One of my heights of my career, for sure.
great job. I saw the potentials of future lawyers,
Absolutely.
doctors, politicians, community leaders.
Yes, sir.
Just a tremendous job. Also, since you've been talking about mentorship, everyone should have a prodigy he or she is working with. What can we do to create more spaces then so that young people can make these kind of contributions?
So I think it's important that God has given every last person something special, something unique that no one else has. And I think it's important for us to make sure we're sharing that with the world. I met Miss Faye Blackwell when I was 15 years old, and she took a liking to me. She hired me at 15 to be a radio DJ. And it was amazing to sit under Lake Charles's first black female city councilwoman and an educator and the person who owned a radio station when it wasn't popular for black people to have radio stations. And she literally taught me community service. Literally taught me community service. And you know, people knew Miss B. She worked with an iron fist, but she also had love, and her heart was always about community first. So she taught me that, and that's really what I try to pass down to young people. So we gotta do the same thing. Whatever that you have that God's given you, that's your talent, you should be using those talents for young people for the future, for sure.
I also noticed your journey brought you by KPLC. Cynthia Austin, whom I met, I told you back in the day, at McNeese Drama, Raising in the Sun, and she comes in, and this beautiful lady, graduate from LSU.
Right.
And tell me about how that materialized.
So I worked as a camera operator in the studio prior to my time at Wiley. I think it was maybe the first couple of years, 2005, 2006, something like that. Working with Cynthia in the studio for 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. She became a mentor to me. During those commercial breaks, she gave me so much wisdom and so much knowledge, and something I carry to this day. She always told me to lead with tunnel vision. Don't look to the right or the left, look straight ahead, because the world's gonna try to stop you, but your job is to be the light. So that's something I keep with me to this day.
We thank God for mentors.
Absolutely.
I think we are who we are in part of the investments of the mentors
Right.
that have mentored us. I've noticed your love over the years, Cary, for the community. I say that honestly. You have a great love for your community, the entire community. The health of this community, the wellness of this community. Tell me something about your activism.
So it had to have started for me by two people, my dad. So my father, Leonard Chavis Sr., was instrumental in helping a lot of campaigns for North Lake Charles. He was very instrumental with Mr. Rob Brito. They ran the campaigns back in the day. If they worked for the campaign for that person, they were going to win. And that showed me community service, because it was about making sure that the right person was getting in office. So that made me want to do the same thing. But also Miss Blackwell. Miss Blackwell, you know, was a community staple. 104.9 at the time was the epicenter for everything that was black. If it was going on, you turned to 104.9 and you heard it. So I wanted to make sure that my voice became that. I developed the Cary Chavis experience on social media because I wanted that to be a place where you found out information about things going on in the community. So that's where the kind of the activism came in. But also at a time where George Floyd and Alton Sterling were dying and being killed by police officers, I was teaching at McNeese Upper Bound at the time. And I remember Trayvon Caesar was one of my students in the class, and he were getting ready to go to Southern University. And Alton Sterling had just died. And I remember asking, is it gonna be okay? I couldn't lie, because I didn't know if it was gonna be okay. What I did know is that I could use my voice to give them the right to use their voice in the community to be activists, and that was important.
I was very proud of the young people. the Black Lives Organization and other groups that came together in the wake of the George Floyd murder here in Lake Charles. I mean, thousands upon thousands.
Absolutely.
I remember on the way to the march, I was getting texts that it's going to be dangerous.
Right.
Somebody's going to get hurt. And I didn't know what was going to come out, and drove on the corner of Broad and Enterprise, and thousands of people. Tell me about what you saw, what you learned even about this community.
I think it's a credit to Donald Thomas. I think Donald Thomas put that particular event together. He did a wonderful job in doing so. To see black, white, all shades of people together to stand up and say that this isn't right, that African Americans and black people being killed by police officers is not right, was an amazing sight to see, because it was beyond racial lines, and I think that was important. We worked with some young people past that for the Confederate Monument protest, and it was a lot. It was a lot that was going on during that time. What I learned during that time is that there's a responsibility to use your voice, but it's also a price you pay. And I paid a heavy price in many arenas because of using that voice, but you don't stop using that voice because God gave you that right to use that voice, and it's important for the community. So
the sacrifice,
yeah,
one who will sacrifice will always pay a price.
Absolutely.
But that price in turn will pay great dividends in the future. For future generations, future doors that will be open, and greater success to humankind. Also, not only your activism, your business enterprises. Tell me about this whole marketing piece.
So Dr. Goodfoot was a radio personality who actually wrote the song Get on the Good Foot for James Brown. He was a DJ at 104.9, and he took a liking to me when I was there, and he told me that you have a key for seeing things and making it happen in marketing. So he trained me. He trained me to work in the station at the time in promotions and marketing and branding. And over time, I developed my own company, the Cary Chavis Agency, which is used to help small businesses to brand themselves, to market themselves, and to get their message out to the world. So that's what I try to use it for.
What is this Speak Pretty?
So Speak Pretty was the term that my debate coach, Dr. Shannon LeBeau, who was the debate coach at Wiley, she would tell us before going around, she's like, even if you don't know what you're saying, just speak pretty. So I named the company that, but basically it's just teaching young people how to use public speaking, to use their voice to matter. I still do it from time to time, more so, I did it more in the past few years than now, but I've helped a lot of student of the years, training them to become state finalists and even some national finalists. So,
Cary, I'm excited about what you're doing. Your generation is really bringing some powerful leadership to this community, this state, even this nation. In your bio, I saw a term that just blew me away. What is this about communal cohesiveness?
So it's a belief that everyone has a gift, that everyone God's given us. Some people have one gift, some people have 5 and 6. Whatever those gifts are, we should be using them for our community. Whatever God's giving you, that's your gift, is not for you, but it's for everyone else. And that's the gift that God gives the world. So we should be working cohesively, whether we're black, white, brown, be better. A lot of times we see North Lake Charles and South Lake Charles and Central Lake Charles, and we don't see people cohesively working together, but it's important that we use those gifts for the community because that's what God gave it to us for.
I was just watching, I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. King's great sermon many years ago, The Two Americas.
Yes, sir.
And he was saying that in every city in America, that seems to be a two Americas. But I love your concept, not only your concept, but the practical application of this as blacks, whites, red, yellow, we cohesively. Kind of remind me of King's beloved community.
That's a good one. People should look that up tonight. That's a good thing to look up tonight on YouTube and check that out.
Well, King believed that we should be one nation under God, as the Constitution, 13, 14, 15 amendments said that we should be as a nation. Cary, I know this not only as an educator or a mentor, but God is using you in speaking. Are you going to be doing something doing Black history on any college campus?
So I got a phone call from one of my mentees, Courtney Williams, an amazing student I got to teach in Washington, Marion, and now he's at Grambling. He's the SGA president. So he called me and invited me to come to Grambling this weekend, actually Friday, to speak for an event called the Black Male Brunch. So it's all the male students who are black, I'm guessing, at Grambling will be in one room. And I'm sort of speaking on the subject of the decline of the black leader in our community.
Well, I tell you what, I think you're the right man for the job.
Thank you.
And I think God always positions us, remember the platform.
Yes, sir.
And I think that it's not your first time doing the collegiate tour, but I think there's more to come collegiately for you in ministering to this generation. Now, I do want you to know, in just a moment, we want you to chime in on Facebook if you have any questions for Cary, some comments that we want you to engage him in. Again, my guest is Cary Chavis. He is an educator, activist, mentor, business person, motivational speaking. God is really using this young man. And what I like, Cary, that you represent this generation, this new generation that God is really plugging in every sphere of influence around this nation.
It's important.
What do you want to look into that camera and tell our guests, again, what's on your heart, the importance of using their voice, especially as African Americans?
So I'll say one, as a person who's usually handling the interviews, I don't enjoy being interviewed, but this is Reverend Steve, so I had to come. I want to thank him so much for this opportunity. I will say that everyone has a gift, everyone has a voice, and it's important for us to be using those talents for our community and for our world. So that was the message I want to leave people with today.
That's a great message, and we really thank God for you. There's a scripture that says of John the Baptist that he was a voice crying out in the wilderness. And you know, there's a difference, Cary, between an echo and a voice. An echo is secondary.
Yes, sir.
But a voice is distinctive pronouncement, giving a clear, concise direction. Thank you for being a voice here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, and even to this nation. And I just know that God is going to use you mightily at Grambling State University, stirring up our black students there, and they will leave out of their confines and go into the world in years to come and do a great and amazing job.
Thank you.
Again, we want to thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Will you come back again?
Of course, anytime.
All right. Appreciate it so much. Well, this has been Pastor Jimmy Stevens of the New Covenant Faith Baptist Church here in our great sanctuary in Lake Charles, Louisiana. You have been privy to hear and be part of this conversation with Cary Chavis. Brother Cary, if someone wants to contact you, maybe for a speaking engagement or workshop seminars, look into the camera and tell them how can they get in touch with
The
you.
best way to reach me is on social media, Cary Chavis, that's CaryChavis. There's the Cary Chavis Agency or Cary Chavis Experience on Facebook and on Instagram. That's the best way that you can reach me.
Well, all over the United States, churches and organizations will be celebrating our own Black History program, and we want all of you to know that the New Covenant Faith Baptist Church will be celebrating our Black History celebration on the fourth Sunday in the month of February. We will be at the Oak Park Middle School on Oak Park Boulevard, and we will be honored with the presence and the ministry of the great judge.
Yes, Derek.
That is Derek Key, and we are inviting all of you to be part of that. Well, do we have some questions? All right, Cary, let's just see a couple of questions before we leave. One of the questions is, someone asked, what keep you up at night?
As a black man, I'm guessing. Is that? I think that's what I just looked down and saw. I think it was Darius Clayton. So, what keeps me up as a black man? There's a number of things, but I think more than anything else, making sure that what I do every day has an impact. There is art and there's functional impacts. I want to make sure that every day the work I do is meaningful, that it matters to people, and that it's going to be used to help other people in a good way and an actual good effort. So that's what keeps me up at night most nights.
Well, I heard someone says that there are three kinds of black men in America, but one of them is intentional. And an intentional man that is about impact, not only will he stay up a little while at night, but he carries this passion and this burden. And the burden creates ministry, not only our words, but our works. Let's take a couple of more. Do we have another one? Well, thank you. God bless you. God keep you is our prayer.